Everybody testing, please. Let me know if you hear my voice. We're going to get started in a minute. We are streaming this. Hey, Chantal, how's it going? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. I'm going to start in about 30 seconds. Drinking iced coffee now. No more hot coffee. The thought that the coffee was just so horrific. I'm not going to drink. I don't think I can even drink coffee anymore. I can drink iced coffee. No more hot coffee. At least till tomorrow. All right, everyone. Welcome to the 10-minute trades trade room. We're here for FOMC minutes. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10-minute trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. All right, so I'm going to set up two trades for the FOMC minutes. One will be our regular DMM, and my second trade will be if I feel that there's an opportunity for an after the news trade, then I'll have a setup for an after the news trade on both on the NQ. I like to watch gold on this report, but I'm not trading it. It used to be that in our old DMMs, we used to trade gold on the report. And if you're a member and you've been here for a while and you've been following this report, you know that the whole of last year, and I believe there were 8 FOMC minutes reports, every single one of them was a failure in 2021. And we worked, and it's always been a very difficult report to get a different setup. We never had a great setup for the report anyway. It was never a very big mover. I hate to use the word never. It was generally not a very big mover. Excuse me. And it just was nowhere near as impactful as the statement. But obviously, the times are changed. Markets are different. The Fed is under the microscope, and the markets are watching every little thing the Fed does. So now this report has a much more impactful move. And we came up with a setup that didn't work last month. Let's be totally truthful. Our range didn't work, but I still like it. I think it's a good setup, and I think ranges are looking good for many of our reports. And I'm willing to do it again. The breakout, I don't feel is the right setup because there's too much volatile potential, too much potential for entering early, wrong direction. I think a range is a good way to do it. And last month we got stopped on the main trade, and then we traded the second trade and made money on the second trade. So it wound up working out fine. I'll do the best I can do. I mean, what else can you do? I'll trade the best I can. My goal is for the range to work. Obviously, I think that I would prefer it if our range works. And I'll show you the way I'm going to set up my trade. First, I'll show you the DMM. So what is a DMM? What does DMM mean? It's our daily market mover. All it means is it's our daily trade setup. That's all. It's our daily trade setup. It's a recommendation of how we are going to trade the report. That's what the DMMs are. And the DMMs are the backbone of what we do. And not everything that we do has a DMM. And I'm trying to add more and more all the time. It's very time consuming, but I am trying to add more and more DMMs all the time. I'm even trying to add them for earnings. I'm thinking about it. because I think it's better. It's good if we have DMMs. And actually, we're thinking about a new service, believe it or not. And we might, if I can find the time, and it's very important, if I can do it properly, we want to have a video, a DMM alert, a DMM alert. When markets are the way they are now, when something happens in the world, and this is something that does, it happens. There are emergencies, there are changes that need to be made at the last second, last minute, or the last week. So, in the trade room, we do this, but we're thinking about standardizing the way we do it. So we're thinking about having a video DMM the morning of the trade with any updates or any new DMM that might be required for that day's trade. So it's something we're thinking about. Anyway, FOMC meeting minutes range. Got a range of 5 ticks above, 5 ticks below. Our entry time is 13:58. And make sure graphic shown on chart gets checked. And then our activation time, the range ends 14:01. I don't know. I think that's a misprint, that 14:01:01. I think it's a misprint. It should be 14:01. I have to, I do believe that's a misprint. I'm sorry. So our range start time is 13:58 and activation is 14:01. 14:01. Now, targets, 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 targets. Stop, stop, stops. I'm going to use a 33 tick stop. Don't ask me why, but I am. Okay. Maybe 35. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Targets, I'm going to use 3 positions. And my first target is going to be 15. My second target is going to be 25. And my third target is going to be 50. And my stop is going to be 33. Don't ask me why. I like off numbers. And don't forget to call it a range trade. Okay. Don't forget to choose the account that you're trading. And that's what I'm doing right now. We'll see how the markets are behaving. Setting up my trade early. So we're not so concerned about the movement exactly at 2 o'clock. We want to wait for the initial reaction, and then we want to enter after the initial reaction. So, generally we don't expect to get caught in any whipsaws because of that. It's a completely different way of entering. Let me record this. And a lot of you have been here for a while, but there are plenty of new people because of our Memorial Day promotion. So a lot of times what happens is at the exact moment that a news event takes place, there can be a dramatic move in the index, and that move can cause whipsaw, meaning movement up and down. It could fill you on one side and then take you out of the trade on the other side. So when you enter with a range that lasts, a good minute after the news comes out, then you avoid all that crazy behavior and you're looking to be pulled in when a trend may be starting. or a short trend, based on the news. So my main trade, this is our DMM trade, almost exactly the same as the DMM. I often make minor changes, certainly to targets. So our ticks above the range are 6, ticks below are 6. Graphic shown on chart gets checked. And then our range time, now see, it's a good thing you always check yourself, 13:58, okay? My range start time is 13:58. My entry, end of the range, activation time, 14:01. 14:01, okay? Trade type is a range trade. I'm trading real money. And I've got a target of 15, 25, and 50 with a stop of 33. That's my setup. And that trade's ready to go. Then I have a secondary trade. And I created a template for that this morning. So here's my range trade. And then after the news, because this is a report that can have an effect on the NQ for the rest of the day, really, it's possible. So I'm going to add another strategy to my chart, and I have a template for it called FOMC after FOMC minutes, right? Let me see if I saved it. Did I save it? Yeah, I hope I did. Oh, what did I name it? I don't remember what I named it. I wanted to tell you all something interesting too. FOMC. I guess I'm losing my mind. I know that I added it. I know that I created it. But I guess I didn't, so that's okay. So my after trade is going to be a squeeze because I'm going to know the direction I'm going to go. FOMC minutes after, we can call it. In fact, it's probably better to put after first. And the way that I'm going to trade this is going to be 2 contracts for 25 ticks and 60 ticks with a stop of 50. That's my after trade. And it's going to be a squeeze. And I'm going to use a range. Even though I most likely would enter manually with a button immediately, not using the range entry button, I still create a 1-bar range with 1 tick above the range, 1 tick below the range. Any squeeze play, has a look back. That's how many bars we're going to use for the range. It's 1. So I've got 1 tick above, 1 tick below. Show the graphics on the chart. And I'm using 1 bar as my range. My targets are 25 and 60. It's really a scalp. If there's an opportunity, it's a squeeze play. And I'm not putting the trade on until after our first trade is over. If I put it on, you can see the buttons. If you use the 1-click range long button or the 1-click range short button, that will enter you. It'll put your orders at the top of this range. The top line is 1 tick above the range. The bottom line is one tick below. So if I put an order in, if I click the one-click range short button right now, it would put an order at the low of the range minus a tick, and you would wait for price to come to you on the trade. Or you could enter short immediately by clicking the one-click short button. But I don't need the range drawing because it'll interfere with my early trade, okay, which is also a range trade. So we're just going to relax, wait for the news to be released for the minutes, okay? And then we have our main trade, which is a range. A minute after the news is released, our orders will be placed on the chart. What we would like to see would be a trend of some sort starting, just a long enough trend to fill us and hit our targets in one direction. And then I do have an opportunity, when that trade is over, to click the after FOMC minute setup, and that can put my buttons on the screen and get me ready to trade a second time if I want to, okay? If I want to. And you can use tick strike if you want to. You don't have to. It's up to you. I find on this type of a trade that I feel like I have a pretty good sense of what the direction's going to be after the news is released. So sometimes I do it with tick strike, not always, sometimes I don't, but I do have my NQ with tick strike open. If I want to use it, I have it available. So that's my strategy for approaching the FOMC minutes. Couple of interesting things. Let's check our time sync like we always do by going to the website time.is, and it puts my computer in sync. Interesting, before this trade, there was a 5-minute bond, 5-minute note auction, 5-minute bond auction. And I set up a trade exactly like our 10-year, 7-year, 20-year. And what's interesting is it traded just as poorly as those reports have been trading, which made me think that the 5-year note auction is tradable in the sense that I'm going to keep an eye on it because maybe there will be some good moves with it. I used our method of moving orders, which we'll get into tomorrow because there's a 7-year note auction as part of tomorrow's trade rooms. The point being, I think there's a couple of other auctions that the shame is that the auctions aren't trading well. The positive thing is they will, I believe at some point they'll go back to trading better. So the 5-year might be worth looking at. And I'm just looking to see what others might be worth looking at. There's a couple of other bond and note auctions that may be not tradable right now, but tradable if the reports get better and start behaving well. And when I say a report behaving well, it means offers an opportunity for profit. I mean, let's be honest, that's the thing that we want. We want a report to offer us an opportunity to make a profit. That's the main criteria for why we choose an event to trade. I'm up $324 on this morning's trading. Last month's, like I said, last month's trade did not work. The range, it just didn't work. And that's going to happen. It doesn't mean our setup is lousy. Okay. Sometimes things don't work. We all know that. It's just part of the routine. This is what it looked like, but here's how it works. So at 1358, you can see our range starts to generate. Okay. And then the news comes out at 1400. And then we wait until 1401. So it was a pretty big range. But the thing that I checked was how would a breakout have worked? And a breakout might have filled us in the wrong direction on this trade. So yes, it looks like a breakout is a guaranteed win, but no, you have to do a deep dive into the numbers very, very specifically to make sure that you wouldn't have gotten filled in the wrong direction and then stopped out on a change in direction. So don't always eyeball price action. I would say that you can't eyeball price action to know if a trade's going to work. So here you could see the range hit our first target, but it reversed so fast that it didn't give me any opportunity to do anything. So what I did today, let me make sure I did it. Let me make sure I did it. What I wanted to do is move my stop, which I don't always like to do. And I'm glad I double checked. I want to move my stop, target one stop move, break even -5. So if my first target is hit, my first target gets hit. If this doesn't have conviction, but we hit our first target, then we should have an opportunity to get out with a tiny profit if it reverses and didn't work, essentially. I might have been able to save ourselves last month using that. The downside of using that feature is sometimes you can get a pullback that wouldn't hit your stop. And then it goes back the way you want it to, right? And unfortunately, you don't get as big a profit. You just get out flat plus some ticks. So that's, one of the hardest elements of all of our trading is stop management. If I had to pick one element that is so challenging, it's stop management. It's always different. Some days, if you don't move your stop, it's the best thing in the world. Other days, if you move your stop, it takes away your profit. And there's no perfect answer. It's always different. And I do want to welcome so many people watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone. How about hitting that like button a couple of times? You can only hit it once. Hit the like button. It really helps us out. Sign up for the channel. Sign up for the channel so you know the next time we're going to stream. And hit the notification bell. You know the routine. Hit the bell. Hit the subscribe button. We have to automate that stuff like professional traders do. Where the subscribe button shows up on its own. Chantal, we got to do that stuff, like the real streamers do. And we have a lot of people watching on YouTube. So thank you very much for coming to join us. I like streaming. I was hoping that once we started streaming, that I would become an incredibly famous trade room streamer, that I'd have mega thousands of views within a week. Don't forget to check your time sync by going to the website time.is. I thought for sure our trade room would immediately go viral, right? Why not? And then you realize I'm not going viral. Not today. I didn't do anything viral enough. Chantal, you're saying you're trading MES this morning. So for all of you that are new, Chantal works for 10-minute trades. It's not like she's my special trade room pet. She works at 10-minute trades. She does a lot of our testing, and that's why I'm always talking to her. Shared on Twitter. Lofta, what did you share on Twitter? All my personal banking information? I hope not. All right. So I don't know. I feel very relaxed today. Very relaxed. And I guess there's a fair amount of people here. I would think some people are trading with me. Some people are trading their own methods. I think one of the things that we know is that people don't like to be alone when they're trading, and that's why they come. A lot of people come into the trade room just to hang out and watch, which is fine by us. It's an interesting psychology, this trading business. So I'm listening to the Financial Juice Squawk box in my headphones, to see if they have anything interesting to say about the Fed. You never know. You never know. The market would be shocked out of their wits if something happened like they raised rates. My goodness, can you imagine what an explosion there would be? So the range trade after Brian, it's a squeeze trade, the second trade, and I'm just doing a squeeze play with two contracts, 25 tick target and a 70 tick target. It could be anywhere between 50 and 70, Brian, with a stop of 50. That's all I'm doing, squeeze play. A target of 25, a target of between 50 and 70 on the second. Doing it as a squeeze play with a one range, one tick above and one tick below. Okay, Brian, is that everything you need? So once again, a lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of people here on YouTube. Thank you. We are streaming the FOMC minutes, Snapster, right now. That's what we're streaming right now. You're here. You're watching it. Streaming the FOMC minutes. We have an NQ range trade set up. So it's very funny. It's like people signed up for our trade room, right? And I'm getting emails. So we used our legacy website because it's sort of like a 10-year celebration. So we thought we'd do something real clever. And it actually wound up causing us a little bit extra work. People can't find the trade room. So it's like I have to make a video. Where's the trade room? For everybody that signed up to help them find the trade room. I just thought that was hilarious. It's not funny, really, but there is something funny about it. So I'm going to make a video, where's the trade room, so people can find the trade room after they sign up. Anytime you do one thing, it creates a set of worms. It creates a set of worms. It opens a can of worms on the other side. You try, here comes our range. So now our range is drawn, okay? This is our main range. So the definition of how the range trade works is the top line is the order. Okay. That's the ticks above the range, and the bottom line is the ticks below. The inner two lines are the range itself being drawn. So we're essentially just creating a range prior to the news. And then the news will get released in another minute. And then we'll wait another minute for what we would like to see is maybe some price stability with a direction. Okay. So that's the concept. And I'm also just watching gold just for fun on the right. I don't have a trade set up for gold. Now keep in mind things are a little bit delayed on YouTube, just the nature of it. It's not instantaneous. So range trades can be fun because I say fun, interesting. So 2 o'clock, the news theoretically is released. So the FOMC minutes are out. And it looks exactly like last month. It really looks like last month. So now what's going to happen? At 14:01, there will be an order. Orders will show up. And we don't know if it's going to work. You know, you don't know if the direction is going to continue in one perfect direction or not. It's just not something you know. So there's my order. And our job is just to try and wait and see if we get filled. And I don't have a real preference one way or the other. What I would like to see is just a what's the word I'm looking for? I'd like to see some sort of a trend and a push, a trend and a push. Then we normally give it, 2, 3 minutes to fill. 2, 3 minutes to fill. Probably, if it didn't fill in 3 minutes, which I don't anticipate will happen, to be honest. It looks like it wants to fill to the upside. So it did exactly what I was a little bit concerned about. I lost $10 on that trade. So I'll see if I want to take a second trade. I lost $10. Okay. And just it hit my first target and couldn't get out fast enough. It couldn't get out fast enough to get out with a profit. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's just not a perfect trade. So this is I know it doesn't look muted, but it's not super directional. Maybe I should have set up my trade on gold because gold had a fabulous move today. Gold had a fabulous move. I'm not getting very good signals for the second half of this. Okay. It's going down without signals. So, for me, I may miss everything else that happens now. My main trade lost $10. All right. I think it lost 20. It lost 20. And it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. If I don't feel like I have a real true sense of another trade here, I'm not going to throw all my money away unless I'm feeling real strong about what I want to do. Okay. So sometimes this happens and it's very anticlimactic and it's not exciting at all. And in this particular moment, that's what I'm feeling like, not a whole heck of a lot of excitement. You know, this could be a day where everything is baked in. Is it all baked in today? So I'm not seeing the kind of swings that I would have expected to see. So I can live with anticlimactic. I can live with, you all know me. I can live with a slow, not exciting response to what we do today. I know I have 4 big possible trades coming up tomorrow. So you know that I don't, it doesn't matter. I want to do the right thing. I don't want to take a trade just to take a trade to show everyone in the room I'm macho and I can take a trade. You know, we're not getting a lot of signals. There's not, for whatever reason, the market, the pricing. It's very interesting, non exciting move for what we've been seeing recently. So this may be it for me. $20 one way or the other. Uh, I'm looking at what people are typing. I'm gonna drop a sub. Would love to keep an eye out for your streams. Great, Napster. Thank you very much. Sign up for the channel and we'll notify you for sure. So, folks, I'm probably gonna let this ride for now. Now, look, if you stay here for 45 minutes, you'll probably find a solid trade or two if you stay here for 45 minutes. Our DNA, just for everybody that's new, is we call it 10-minute trades for real. We don't usually spend more than 10 minutes on one event. Now, you might just be getting downward action because these markets are somewhat pressured over the past months. They're somewhat pressured. There might be a good scalp. I may have just missed a good scalp. It's not so easy, folks, I'm not, I'm watching, and sometimes you miss, sometimes you miss, sometimes you get them. Wow. Now, could we have a magnet trade setting up to test the low? Could we have a magnet trade to test the low? It's possible. A magnet trade is a test of the low. As the price gets closer and closer to the low, it has a tendency to get pulled into that low. So, you know what? I missed the good one, folks. I think that 11 that hit with the signals, that was it was like halfway down this candle. That was a good signal. That was a good signal. And I was yakking, so I kind of missed it. I was talking. Not that I'm not talking all the time. I'm watching, and I'm seeing price. This is a little tricky now. I definitely missed a good move. There's no doubt that I may have missed a good move. The tendency is to rush back in after you miss the move. And then what happens is you get caught in that little retracement That's taking place now. So I'm certainly glad that I exercised self-control and didn't jump in. Okay. One of the difficulties is you're in the middle of the high and the low. So the magnet trade is almost considered null and void. Okay. Keep that in mind. You're being pulled up, you're being pulled down, makes it trickier. Definitely makes it trickier. So I'm watching. It's fun to watch. You don't have to trade. It's 10 minutes after the news. So now, maybe there will be a good trend. Maybe there will be a good trend. But our setup, it hit the first target for the second month in a row and then didn't follow through. I think, Chantal, you and I might want to look at the length of the range and the time of the range, right? The starting time and the length. Maybe we can fine tune the trade because we've had 2 months where, it's sort of worked, but not as well as it could maybe. So I'll put it on our test list to do another look, see if we can make a little change to it and make it more profitable. Because hitting the first target, it's too fast to work. In theory, it should have gotten me out with about a $25 profit. So now you might get pulled into the high of the day. But you could see why it's tricky today. You don't have a decision directionally. It went up, it went down. So you want to be careful, right? Everybody trades differently. Just have your tools in place. But I know myself. I know myself. This market is a tricky market for me. It's a market where I tend to get stopped. So I'm going to be I'm probably not going to trade anymore. Like I said, I took our first trade and I missed that 11 that was on this candle. No shame or embarrassment. It happens. We don't catch them all. And, the squeeze is a little bit against the downside right now. We know that the squeeze is a very lagging indicator, very lagging. Chantal, the ES worked. Mark, you didn't trade? You didn't trade it? Usually there's a solid entry. This has not been presenting itself all that great. So this is too far off the trade for me, after 10 minutes. I'm just looking. I want to thank everybody who watched us uh, on on YouTube. Let me just give you a quick way to enter. Let me give you a heads up. You can enter our trade room using this link, jointhetraderoom.com. $10. It's not 97. We have a special for Memorial Day. Jointhetraderoom.com. $10 for the first month. $10 for the first month. So jointhetraderoom.com if you're watching us on YouTube, and then it will change over to 97 a month. Easy to cancel if you want to or stay with us. Join www.jointhistraderoom.com. Tricky, a little bit tricky. Just unfortunately, if it would have hit our second target, we would have gotten out with a profit. It only hit our first target, and then it reversed, and it took $20 from me. So that's life. We're still up $314 on the day, trading the opens, trading various setups that we had this morning. Tomorrow is a busy, busy day. Very busy day. So I was expecting more out of this today. I was really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I thought that the range would be much more dramatic. Much more dramatic. Yes, Mark. I know. Chantal, so you'll have to tell me what you did on the MES. Maybe Look, we've been looking for a great setup for FOMC minutes. We are not married to the NQ range trade for this setup. We're not married to it. If it turns out that now the ES is working better, Chantal had a good ES on it, we might be interested in the ES on this setup. So we will definitely, this, because of the kind of results we've been getting the last 2 months on this report, we will take another look. I mean, because it's an important report that offers potential profit. So we'll look at it again. Because, if we get two that aren't dramatically fantastic, it makes me want to look for another setup, even though I usually want to see three trades in a row that aren't hitting the spot. Because this is a pretty dramatic moving report as of late. I think that we will, there may be other opportunities out there. If you look at the way gold moved, gold had a really good move. And, you look at the candles, it was a nice, solid, big, fat move. So we should look at gold and the ES and see if other opportunities aren't out there. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Any questions? A little bit, what's the word? Anticlimactic. A little bit anticlimactic. Anybody trade live? Anybody out there making money? Did anyone make money? Chantal traded the ES, she said. Chantal, what was your setup? What was your setup? MES. Let's take a look. So, I mean, the move, look at the ES and the NQ, they look very much the same. But that doesn't mean one isn't more tradable than the other. You might have another setup, another instrument that is much more tradable. You had a long breakout only at what time? At 2 o'clock? So if I put my cursor on the trade candle, that would have been the ES 2 o'clock trade candle. And the NQ 2 o'clock trade candle. Not quite, well, somewhat similar candle. ES had a bigger move. ES had a bigger move. So it looks like the NQ wants to push up. It's looking like it wants to push up. And it tested, going back, trying to test the high. So close, very close. So a normal breakout, 1359.59. How about the bracket size? How about the bracket size? Because I like the idea. I like the idea we could absolutely try a bracket on the, I'll go back and test them. I'll go back and test them. I'll test on the ES. I would do it on the ES. And maybe we'll add a second possible trade next month. It isn't always a month. Also, there's 8 Fed statement minute reports usually per year. All right, folks. End of the day, from 2:30 to 3:30 or 2:30 to 3:58 is a pretty good trading time if you're interested trading the NQ or the ES for end of day opportunities. It's definitely, it's like you think about What are good times to trade in the morning? Between 7:30, and 9:30, I would say, are really good trading times in the morning for most indexes, for NQ, ES, oil. And then if you look at the afternoon hours that are very good, certainly 2:30, after 2:30. You can really say after a report as meaningful as this till the end of the day. So this is a 2 o'clock report. You could start discretionary trading now, or after. You could have started 8 minutes ago. Wouldn't be unreasonable. Yeah, it's hard to have a long bias in these markets. It's hard to have, even if it's only for a day. It's really hard to have a long bias. The markets just feel so heavy. They feel so heavy. All right. I don't see any other questions. So yes, Chantal, you like the long side. It's so funny, and I like the short side. And you have trouble taking shorts, and I have trouble taking longs in this market. Anyway, it's kind of funny. All right, everyone. So we will be starting early tomorrow. Tomorrow is busy. Look at what's going on tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got the gold open. GDP is going to move that market, especially with Thursday jobless claims. Natural gas, that's going to move the natural gas market. You know what? Pending homes is a watch. That's a report on watch, but it had a pretty dramatic move last month, if I remember correctly. And then the 7-year note auction, helped me as I jump off a building for that one. The note auctions, the bond auctions have been tough. They've been tough. But so there's certainly stuff to do, and the various opens. Okay. So we'll be starting at 8. I'll see everybody at 8 in the morning. All right, everyone. I'll see everyone later. Take care. Hey, everybody. So someone was saying there was a question I missed. I don't see it. I don't see it. So if there is a question out there before I go,
Lee,
yeah, strange. Oh, that's really